Hi, this is Sarah Welch with Prevent Child Abuse Iowa, and we're going to go ahead and get started with this webinar on Facebook as a tool for community engagement. Hopefully you're all logged in and can hear me at this point. I've been fighting a cold, so I'm going to try not to cough into the phone as well. But we'll go ahead and move forward. What we're going to cover today is what is Facebook and specifically a Facebook page, how to get started with your Facebook page, how to manage and grow your Facebook page, and the basics on monitoring and evaluating the success of your page. So I'm going to go forward with these slides. And if you have questions along the way, please post them into the chat box in your control panel. You all are on mute just to avoid background noise, so if you post them there, I will try to answer them either during the presentation or at the end. So we'll get started with what is Facebook. And according to Facebook itself, the mission is to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected, which if we're working to build community engagement, fits right along with our own mission or goals that we're trying to achieve. Facebook was launched in 2004 and started primarily at colleges. It began at Harvard, but now it has a network of over 955 million active users. So it is a huge social networking site. And when we look at what is Facebook specifically, or why to be on Facebook, 66% of online adults, so those who are online, are using Facebook. The next highest is LinkedIn at 20%, and then Twitter at 16%. So Facebook, by and far, is the largest used social networking site. Pew Research Institute did a look at the type of user who is on Facebook and found that the average user has more close ties and is half as likely to be socially isolated as the average American. So it's somebody who is more connected with the community and their friends. It's also someone who's more politically engaged, tends to be more female, and also the average age is 38. So it has definitely expanded beyond the college audience to a much broader adult audience. When we look at pages specifically, these are designed for businesses, organizations, and brands to share their stories and connect with people. So this is specifically for more of an organization presence versus your personal account, which is supposed to represent you as the individual. So our own personal accounts and timelines are for our own purposes, for our own personal lives, whereas this is really meant to give people a chance to have a professional presence, to represent their brand online. It works just like a timeline in a lot of ways, but is known as a more professional presence in this space. People who choose to connect to your page, they won't actually see that you are the page administrator. All they see is that you're acting as the organization. So it's a nice option if you want to represent yourself as an organization. And you'll see at the top of the screen here, it says change to Sarah Welch. Right now I'm posting and commenting and liking as Prevent Child Abuse Iowa. So all my actions appear from Prevent Child Abuse Iowa. I think it's worth noting the pros versus the cons of a Facebook page, especially if you're about to go down this route. The nice thing about a Facebook page is it does give your organization a consistent presence, especially if you make an effort to be posting and to be active on a Facebook page. It allows you to engage with fans where they are, so this is where a lot of people are right now, and when you post, it goes directly to their news feed, so they're getting it where they're already focusing their attention. It allows you to share your value, so you are able to share your resources and the trainings that you're offering the community to get those out there so people know about them. It's cost effective, at least in order to join. It's free, and it's easy to use. A lot of the tools have been developed to be as easy as possible to use and to manage the page. The downsides are that it does take time, which if you're already limited on time, you can consider that also a cost. It takes an effort to plan and to know what you're going to post and to be consistently posting. It requires resources. You need to know what you're going to post and to have links and photos and those kinds of things available. And it takes a long-term commitment. Owning a Facebook page is a slow, gradual growth process. You're not going to automatically have a huge following base by the next day. I also just want to point out the differences between pages and groups, because groups could be a possible option for you when you look at parent development classes or some of the more enclosed groups that you may manage. Pages are the more formal presence. They're created by an official representative of an organization. The actions appear to come from that organization. Anyone can like the page, so it's public, and the information and posts that you make on that page are public. Whereas for groups, it's a much more closed space. You can set settings where members have to be approved or added by other members in order to join. You can make your posts private if you'd like. Your actions appear from you as the individual rather than the organization. So it could be a really useful option. We're not going to get into groups in this presentation, but it could be useful if you're looking for something more private, a space where you can share with a group of people who are involved in the same kind of activity or same issue. What I'm going to go into now is how to get started with a page. Many of you expressed that you're already there and have a page, but for those who haven't yet started a Facebook page, I'm just going to quickly go through the steps for how to do that, because I do think it is a little confusing in terms of how to categorize yourself and how to represent yourself. In order to get there, there's an easy link just at the bottom of the page. You do need your own personal individual account. You will end up, if you just type in facebook.com/pages/create, once you're logged into Facebook, it'll lead you here automatically. Otherwise, on the sidebar of your own personal account under your pages, you can click on a page you already have, and then at the top, click Create. Somebody asked, Laura Beek, I believe, asked, will we have access to the PowerPoint? And yes, I will post this and a recording of the presentation after. So for getting started, once you're at the Create a Page place, you'll see all these options, and this is where I think it can get kind of confusing on where to categorize yourself. We have, with our personal page, done company, organization, or institution, so you can click on that. And then we've chosen cause from the drop-down menu of the type of organization. And then we typed in the organization name, Prevent Child Abuse Iowa. So it's best to just stay with a very simple, direct name of what your organization is. And then make sure you click to agree to the Facebook pages terms. The one thing with Facebook pages terms, it is worth reading through them because they do have specific requirements in terms of giving away offers on your Facebook page and how to represent yourself, so it is worth noting what their requirements are. So I would take time to read that before you check. From there, you'll be prompted through 3 steps to get started with your Facebook page. And so the first step will be to add a profile picture, and that is typically your organization logo if you have one, or a square image that represents your organization. 180 by 180 pixels is the best size option. Facebook's not the most clear on the best kinds of images or the quality, so you may have to experiment with this a few times to get it right. Once you upload, it'll automatically crop along the edges, and so you may also have to click and drag the logo picture in order to center it correctly. So there is some kind of tweaking with their profile picture, and if you have somebody who's good at design or photo savvy, it might be worth asking them to help you to make sure you have a good quality image. The next step will be to add a description of your organization, and it's best just a sentence or two, very basic, what you do, what your mission is. Typically, you may already have a line or two that you've already created in your brochures that you can use for this. And then the third step will be a Facebook web address, and this will be your unique URL you can actually send people to. So what we have is facebook.com/PreventChildAbuseIowa is our URL, which is very convenient, especially if you're using a Facebook page more like a website, and this is the place where you want to drive people to. It'll make it easy to do that. Once you set all this up, you will be sent to your actual page, and at this point you'll look something like this, where there's really not any activity going on. There's no notifications, there's no new likes, you don't have any insights because you haven't posted yet. So this is your chance really to start building the page. And so what you can do at the top of the screen, you can go to Edit Page and click Update Info, and that'll prompt you to add even more information. You can also manage permissions, you can add other administrators, and there's a whole bunch of other activities you can do up here to manage the page, so it's worth taking some time and exploring those options. The other thing you can do is you can invite your friends. So if there are people you're friends with who are in the child abuse prevention arena, you may want to pull them up and invite them to join the group as well, and that will start to build your group much faster than people seeking you out. If you go to the Update Info page, this is what it'll look like. So it'll allow you to add a lot more information than the first 3 steps when you went through it. So you can add an address if you have a physical location. You can add a little bit more about you. You can add what year you got started. So there's all kinds of information you can give people to have a little bit clearer idea of your organization. And off to the left of this, once you're in this page, you'll start to see a menu here for managing your site. And that allows settings, so you can ask for notifications when people post, manage your permissions. We'll get into that a little bit later. But there's all these options here that you can look through to keep adding to your page. So adding basic information to your page, this is what our page looks like. So I'm showing it just so you can see the kind of information you can add. We really tried to just have a sentence or two for each box, not give them too much information, but enough to get a basic idea of what we do, and then we send them to our website. If you have a website, you can do that. If not, you may want to add just a little bit more information about your activities. But this gives the contact information as well, which I think is important to allow people to get in touch with you to learn more. And once you get your page going, this is what our page looks like. So after you scroll down from the admin panel, you'll see something like this. So you have your profile picture, which is our logo. You will have the option to add a cover photo, and that's a horizontal photo. It can be fun, something that represents your organization, maybe an event you were at. Anything that is just bright and will stand out is a good option. You'll see here under photos, these are photos we've added at one time or another. Under likes, these are the number of people who have come to our page and liked our page, which means when we post our status updates, it'll end up in their news feeds. They'll get updates from us. Under events, these are events that we've added coming up. You'll see our conference event has been added to this page, so people can click on that and get more information. And then below all this is where your status updates will come in. You'll see who is messaging you and other pages you have liked. So we'll look at a few of those in a second. What we're going to look at now specifically, though, is posting guidelines. The posting on your page is what's probably going to get you the most attention and grow your page the most. Every time you post to your page, it'll show up in those who have liked your page's news feed. So these 519 people, when we post on this page, it'll show up in their news feed. Not all of them will always see it. It depends if they're logging on and checking their news feed, but for the most part, we have about 150, 200 people do see our posts every time we do post something. And so basically, a post is just a status update. You can do different kinds of posts, which I'll go into in a second. It goes on your page on your timeline feed. So when you post something, it'll mark the date, and over time, you'll start to see a series of posts that you've had if you keep scrolling down. Just some basic tips for posting. It's good to post 3 to 4 times per week. If you post more than that, I try to post every day sometimes, but if you're posting a couple times a day, it may encourage people to stop following you. They just don't want their news feed overly bombarded. So it's a little nice, whereas Twitter, they expect you to be tweeting 3 to 4 times per day. This is much more deliberate, having 3 to 4 posts per week. You just don't want to be too active on here. You don't want to just self-promote. You don't want to just come on here and talk about what trainings you have coming up or what programs you're offering. You want to really think about it from the audience you're trying to engage. How can you be a resource for them? What are the types of posts they will really value? So while your services may be helpful, it's also probably helpful to offer other resources or to share other things that are going on in the community, to be that kind of partner, things that they may be interested in beyond your organization. It's also good to have a voice. You don't want to be too professional on here. You want to address your audience with the you form. You can be light and you can joke a little bit. You can have some fun with it. It's also okay to experiment a bit. You may do a post and nobody likes it, and you know that might not have worked, but sometimes you'll do a post and people get really excited about it. It's hard to know. So it's okay to experiment a bit and be creative with it. And over time, it'll probably help to develop a strategy. So what kind of audience are you trying to engage, and what resources or what kinds of posts would they want? And that'll help you have a clear understanding as time goes on of what to look for, what to gather that you can then share with this network. So you may not want to do that initially. You may want to just play around and see what people end up liking, what ends up getting attention, but over time it might help you to just be a little more deliberate and to stay committed to the posting strategy that you have. Before posting, this is just more technical, but some things you want to really ask yourself before you post, and that is, one, is the posting something you want the world to see forever? So all your posts are public and they're long-lasting. Even if you delete it, somebody may have seen it. It's hard to take off of the internet once it's there. So ask yourself that before you post. Can this information be taken out of context or be offensive? So you don't want something to be misviewed. For example, we've been meeting with a lot of the legislative candidates lately, and we decided not to post pictures of being at those events because we want to appear bipartisan, rather than if we just posted a picture with a Democratic candidate, we might be deemed connected to just that party. Could the information put you or others in danger? And this is kind of usually more of an issue with a personal timeline, but you don't want to give away home addresses. You don't want to say you're going to be out of town, and thieves have used that to show up at their house. So think about, is this information that probably shouldn't be public or somebody could use? Other things to think about with posting: are you violating any laws? So HIPAA is the big one that a lot of people mention, and basically the guideline with that, the American Medical Association and the Nursing Association do have their own guidelines as well that you can Google and look up, but with HIPAA, it's basically just no specific health information. So you really want to look at what you're posting and making sure it's not too specifically tied to somebody. You also want to make sure that with copyright that you're not plagiarizing anyone, or you're attributing, if you're using a quote or an image, that you're attributing it to the person who actually created it. And then finally, think about Facebook's terms of service. So you really want to make sure you're not violating their terms of service, which is why it's important to read. You don't want to run a contest unless you really understand their rules. You don't want to tag people in an image without their permission, things like that. So I'm giving you all that as kind of a serious note with Facebook, things to be concerned about, but at the same time, it's good to know ahead of time as you start thinking about what to post, just to have these guidelines in the back of your mind. So when we look at ideas for posts, it's better, I guess, to look at the more positive, and that's there really are a lot of different kinds of posts you can make. So you can share your key messages and images with people. You can share stories, achievements, happenings of the organization with people, interesting articles that you read that are related to child abuse prevention, photos from the events that you're going to. Sometimes if you're signed up for our advocacy newsletter, you can share those updates with your audience. Any of the upcoming trainings you have, the resources that maybe you're gathering for your own trainings that would be useful for the public to know about. And also, you know, sometimes with the trainings there's key messages or points, and that might be good for audiences to know as well. So these are all a bunch of ideas, and so while there are some guidelines and things to think about before posting, there really is a lot of options to you as to the type of post. And I wouldn't get too worried about being able to post and is this going to be okay and is it going to work. They're really, these general positive posts are fine and will get you good attention this way. So if anybody has any questions at this point, please type them in and I'll try to answer them. This is getting into a lot of detail, and so I'm happy to step back and answer any questions now, or if you would like, I can talk with you after this webinar as well. I'll just look for them in the screen, but I'll move forward into the more technicalities of how to actually post and all the options you have with that. And again, there's so many different features with Facebook that it is a lot of detail. So this recording will be posted and the PowerPoint will be posted as well. When you look at actually posting on your Facebook page, after you go under the main banner, you will see this box and it'll say what's on your mind. And if you click on it, that's where you post your status update. So you can literally just type something in and post if that's what you want to do. But you can also, with this post, you can tag the location. So if you look down in this box here with the timer and then the little marker off to the right of that, if you hit the little marker, it'll ask where are you, and you can type in your location and it'll actually tag that location to the post. So if you're at a conference or, you know, for example, our regional meetings we just had, you could say that you've checked into them and people will see that you're there as the post. You can also time your posts, and so I think some of you have mentioned that you can't use Facebook while at work, and so this is an option. If you need something to go out at noon, you can click the clock and you can actually set the exact date and the time that you want something to be posted. And so that will schedule the post to go out at that time rather than you having to be present for that. Other features here, you'll see the big promote box next to the post box. And for promoting, it's not something I would worry about. Facebook is offering the chance to pay money to have your status update be promoted to more of your followers. And from what I've read, that really is not useful and that it really doesn't get you that much more attention. So I wouldn't worry about the promote. In terms of posting, so you can just simply type in a status update and post it. So just whatever you want to do, say, hey, I'm listening to a Facebook webinar right now, and you can post that. But Facebook also offers you a lot of options with your posts, so you can add a link to your post. And that will, if you look to the box to the left of this screen, we actually posted in an article that we had read. So we copied and pasted the link into the status box, and then what you see below is what then popped up after I did that. You can actually then go ahead and delete the link once the bottom box pops up if you'd like, or you can leave that link in, and you can also type a message with that. So we ended up deleting this link out of the status box and saying something like, you know, we just ran across this great article you might be interested in, and then click post. And that will pop up in your newsfeed with this bottom part that has an image, the title of the article, a summary, and a link to that article that your audience can then go check out. Other things you can do with your status updates, so you can click on the photo/video link, and that will allow you to upload a photo, and with that photo you'll be able to type a caption, and that will go into your news feed, and I'll show you examples of all these in a second. Under Offer Event Plus, you can add an offer, which I wouldn't really worry about. That's more for retail. But you can also add an event. So if you have a training coming up, you can actually create an event, and that'll show up in your newsfeed, and it'll also create a separate page for you. You can add a milestone, and that's a key moment you want to highlight on your page. So for example, we added the milestone of when we were founded. And so that shows up as a bigger image across your news feed that people will see if they scroll down and try to see some of the past posts that you've had. You can also ask a question, and this works very similar to a poll. So you'll type in, for example, what support was most helpful to you when you were raising your child? And you can give people options of social supports or a parenting class. And then they can actually, your fans can vote, and when they vote, other people may end up seeing the poll as well. So that's a way to have a post go more viral where more people will see it beyond just the people who like your page. So that's a good interaction tool if you have a good idea for a question or a poll you want to ask people. Some of you have asked about uploading images, Word documents, and PDFs. Facebook lets you upload images, but it won't let you upload Word documents and PDFs. You have to have a special application for that. So the best thing, some of you have said you've had flyers or things you've created for the trainings that you have. And so I would suggest for that, reworking those to work within Facebook's framework. So you may want to create an event for those, and I'll show you what an event page looks like. Or you may want to just do a status update that says, hey, we have a training coming up on X, Y, and Z. Contact this email address for more information. And you can then email them the PDF that you've created. If you do the application to be able to upload Word documents and PDFs, it might not always be looked at. It might be hard to actually read on Facebook. So it's probably better to do it more as a status update or to create an event with that. But I'm happy to work with you if you have questions on that. If you, I'm just going to walk you through some of the examples of posts that we've done so you can kind of see how they look and how we've done them. Here's two of resources we've run across. Just I've seen them come into my email box, and I figured this was something people might be interested in who are following us. So the first one is a free webinar training series that Stop It Now is offering. And to do this post, what I did was I just pasted it in the status update, and this box came up. I deleted that link and typed in this that you see up here, check out Stop It Now's free child sexual abuse prevention training series. You'll notice the Stop It Now is actually a link that it's blue. And how I did that was I did an @ with the keyboard, and then I typed in Stop It Now, and that organization actually popped up, and I was able to link to them. And I'm happy to show you more how to do that if there's certain organizations you want to connect with. You'll also notice under here then that one of our fans liked the page, so that means that they were a fan of the post. They also have the option they could have commented. You don't see any comments in here, but you or any of the people who see the post can type in a comment. And you also see off to the right here of this post a little page bent over in the one. That is somebody actually shared this post with their network. So that means they clicked on the share button and reposted it in their news feed, so anybody who's following them will actually see it. So you can start to see how if people are liking your page or they're sharing it, it can really start to connect with more people beyond who's just connecting with your page. On the second post here, you'll see, again, we found this resource from Every Child Matters. I typed in a little update. I pasted the link in here, which this popped up. I deleted the link and then posted, and we've had 3 people who liked it. You also see at the bottom 160 people saw this post, so that means that either people who like our page ended up seeing this post in their news feed, or if they liked our page, their friends may have seen it as well, so it totals both of those. So that's an example of that. This is an example of a post that's actually, these kind of posts have gotten us a lot of attention and have really expanded our network, and that's, you know, with an image or a celebrity and a quote that relates to the messaging we're trying to get across. And so you'll see here that 5 people liked this, but we had 45 shares. So that's 45 people reposting in their news feed And every time they repost it in their news feed, it says via Prevent Child Abuse Iowa. So we are now tagged to this image that is now getting shared well beyond the network that's directly connected to us. So we've had a lot of success with these kinds of posts. My one suggestion is to not only do these kinds of posts, but to really offer people a mix, because if this is all you post, you may lose some of the people who want resources and some of the more serious training information and things coming out from your organization. And these messages are great, and it really gets your word across and gets the awareness for your organization, but people also are looking for variety over time. And then finally, you'll see here's some things that we've posted from our organization, and trying to reframe them not on here's a training we have, but more of here's a value add we're offering you, or a shout out to the community, trying to be a little more playful and fun as well. So we thanked on the right, you'll see we posted a photo of these girls who had done a bake sale and raised money for our organization, and we thanked them for that. And then on the left, this is a link for our conference and our Stewards of Children training that we're offering, and I posted a link to our website so people could check out for more information. But you'll see here too that people have actually commented on this, and it's gotten attention that especially your most loyal supporters will really get involved and be supportive of these kinds of posts. What I'll show you now is how you can also do events. And so this is another feature when you're doing your status update. A lot of you do trainings or community events, and this is a great way to get interaction, especially if you don't have a website. You can put all the information you want on there. You can get people to RSVP. So what you can do under your status update, you can add an event, and you can add the name of the event. You can add basic details, where it's located, the time of the event, and then you have some monitoring options here. You can show the guest list if you want, or you can unclick that if you don't want everybody to know who's attending the event. Once you create this event, it turns into a page, kind of like another Facebook page in a way. It becomes its own separate entity. You can make separate status updates here, so if something changes on the event, you can update that, and that will alert people who have said they're going to attend. You have all the details, you'll notice, up at the top. You'll have a map on where it's located, which is really convenient for people. And you can then go ahead and invite friends. So you can invite people who are connected to your page to then join this event, and so that's a good way to get RSVPs. Somebody is asking, is it possible to delete it after the event? That's a good question. Yes. So once the event has happened, it will no longer show up under the events, but you can also go back and delete the event if you don't want it to appear public anymore. But usually after the event has passed, Facebook is good also of not showing that option anymore, and people won't see it pop up on their pages as well. Somebody is also asking, how do you fix a mistake on an event after it has been posted to delete an old event? So, okay, that's a good question. Under this tab with events, or actually it'll be a little bit further over, there's next to the Invite Friends button, there's an Edit page, and you can go in and edit the details. It's not uncommon to post your event and then you realize you need to go back and make adjustments. So I've done that a lot, where you just click the Edit button and it'll let you edit all the details. It might also be good if you are changing something midway in an event, a detail or something. You can also, under the Write Something Right post, you can add that in there, and that'll send a message to all the people who are attending your event as well. So that's a good way to update them. Under the Edit button, I believe you can also delete the event. Under one of those top buttons, it should be able to let you do that. The big thing, I don't think you really need to worry about deleting it after the event has happened, because again, Facebook's good about not promoting that event anymore, but it's nice if you want to go back and have a template for the future event. You can see what you did for this event. But there is a way to delete it up at the top, and if you can't find it, I can let you know. But this can be a really great way to engage people around, like if you're doing parenting class and you're okay with more public group rather than having a private group, you could create an event for that class and have them RSVP on here and be updating on this page only to this specific audience as well. So it's a really nice feature, especially if you don't have a website. If there's other questions, please feel free to add them, and I'll definitely try to get them answered. Under photos, so if you're adding photos, you can add an individual photo, which you saw with our bake sale, and that just posts the photo in your news feed, and you can add a caption. But you can also add an album. So we were in Warren County, or I was in Warren County about a month ago, and took pictures of moms in the respite care program with their kids. And the big thing with this, I got their permission beforehand. So that's one thing to make sure. And if somebody needs an example of a permission form, I can give you what we have. But it's very important to make sure that they've agreed to allow their picture to be public, and you definitely don't want to tag them in the photo. And that's with this People Plus button. You can add their name and actually tag their personal profile to the photo. And you want to make sure you don't do that if they have not agreed to it. That will violate a Facebook term of agreement as well. And somebody asked, does it have to be in writing? And yes, I would definitely have it in writing and have them sign it. So when you go to an event and take pictures, one thing you can do if it's a parenting class or a conference, one thing we've done is put the notice in the flyer or the brochure saying you may have your picture taken, and do it that way. But if it is specifically of parents and their kids, it's good to bring a form and get that signed. The other thing you can do with an album, it's a different way of telling a story or an update as well. You can add a caption to each of the photos, so you can kind of take people on the journey of your visit if you want, which is a fun way to kind of bring them into the organization and what you're up to. You can, and when you look at the features underneath the caption box, like I said, you can tag somebody, but you can also time when it's going to go out, and you can add a location to it as well. Up here, you can add a location, where were these taken. You can add a title to the album. So it's a nice way of kind of collecting, like if you're doing a parenting class, it's a good way to, you can capture some of that and share that with the community if they agree to let you do that. Someone had a question about an event. Is it possible to hide the individuals who will be attending an event? So this is going back to the event page really quick. And yes, when you do the post for the event, when it says create a new event by Prevent Child Abuse Iowa, if you unclick the show the guest list, that will keep that private. So other people will not see the guests who are coming. You will be able to as an administrator, but other people won't. So right now, under our conference, it is public. People can see who's going. And in this case, not a lot of people have signed up for it because it isn't the primary registration form we're using. We have more on our site, and then they're actually registering through a formal site. So if you are using this for a parenting class, you can actually require people to RSVP through this page, and that's how they'll be connected, or ask them to do that, and you'll have probably more attention that way. Going back to the photos, so this is what an album will look like as you're putting that together. The other thing you can also do, which is a nice way to build engagement in your page, is to go out and like other pages. So if you have partners in the community that you're involved with, it's a good idea to go out and like their page, and that will add it. That'll connect their page to your page. So the way to do that is in the search box up at the top. It says search for people, places, and things. You can type in, so for example, I typed in United Way of Central Iowa, and it led me to the United Way of Central Iowa page. On this page, if you look at the little wheel box off to the right next to message, if you click that, you can say add to my page's favorites, and that'll let you add that to, for example, our Prevent Child Abuse Iowa page. And that shows up on our page underneath other people's posts. So you'll see here's the pages that we've liked. There's a little box on our page that people can see. And the nice thing about that, it just connects you with that organization. The other thing you can do is to like a group page through your personal profile. So I follow a lot of organizations that we're connected to. And when I see resources I like, I share them as Prevent Child Abuse Iowa. And I can show you more of that if you want. But it's helpful to be looking at what other organizations you're connected to are doing on Facebook, to comment on their posts, to like their posts as the organization. And that also is another way to get attention then from their audiences. So I've definitely covered a lot. Again, if you have questions, just keep posting them into the chat box. What I'm going to get into now is the question I think a lot of people have is how do you manage permissions and manage the people who are interacting with your page? Because I think that's one of the most worrisome things is somebody going to post something that I don't want on there? And I think the biggest thing to keep in mind that for us as an organization, we've had a page since 2009, and we've only had one instance where somebody blatantly accused somebody of child abuse, and we ended up, it turns out, it wasn't founded, and we ended up taking the post down. But that's one case out of so many other interactions we've had with fans. So I think it is better to allow interaction. People really want to connect with your organization. They want to be active in commenting on the posts you've made and to support you. So it's much better to allow that to go on and then just monitor the page and to have kind of a guideline of what kind of posts you will allow and you won't allow. So we will leave posts that maybe talk about generally a child abuse situation or don't fit our reframing messaging that's more negative than we like. But just to allow that openness with our fans, we'll let those kinds of posts go. So, excuse me, at the top of your page, when you're at your Facebook page, you can actually at the top go to Edit, and you can go to Manage Permissions. So going back into your Managing Page control panel right here. And this, you'll see an image of what we have allowed on this page. We have allowed, so anybody can post on our timeline. Anybody can add photos and videos to our timeline. Anybody can show the box. So we're showing the box for recent posts by others. So towards the top of the page, people will visibly see what others have posted on our timeline. And we've done that, again, to allow the interaction so people do feel like they're connected to our page and can post and have a voice with our organization as well. One thing you can do initially, you can unpublish your page at the very top here under page visibility. So if you want time to play with your page, as soon as you create your page, it is public. If you unpublish the page for a while, it'll give you time to build your page and to get the information how you want it. Other things you can choose to do to help with monitoring, if you are nervous about having people be able to post directly to your timeline, under the default visibility of posts by others on Prevent Child Abuse in Iowa's timeline, you can change it from allowed on page to hidden. And if it's hidden from page, you actually will have to go into your activity log every day and look if anybody's posted, and if they have, you can choose whether to allow it on your timeline. So it's a little extra step, which I would encourage not going through. It's better just to let them post on the timeline, and if you have to remove the post, it's very easy to do that. But if you do go that option, you can go check your activity log every day, which is under your Edit Page feature, and you'll see an option for activity log and who's posting. Other things you can do to be proactive, under the moderation block list, you can type in key terms that you don't want people to, if they post with those terms, the post will automatically become spam, and so it won't turn up on the timeline. And there's a way to go in if you want, and I can show you that if you go that route on how to check that if you do want to add it to the timeline. But it's a way of kind of having a proactive moderation if you want. We have not picked any terms, but if you're worried about certain kinds of posts, it's a good route to go. Under profanity block list, you can also if you turn it on, you can, any post with offensive language will be marked as spam as well. And somebody's asking how you get to the manage permissions. That's a good question. If you're on your main page for your organization, you can, at the very top, it'll say Edit Page, and then you can scroll down to Manage Permissions. So where you went to update information, it's right under there for the Manage Permissions. Hopefully that answered it. If not, I can answer that or show you more. Actually, on this next page, you'll see. So at the top on your admin panel, there's an Edit Page feature. If you click on that, it'll let you update information, but it'll also go to where you can manage permissions. So the other thing to do, and so our approach is much more just to monitor the page, so we allow it to be open. But the nice thing with this admin panel is anytime anybody interacts with our page, it shows up under the notifications feature. So you can then click on that. So if somebody types in a comment on our page, and so what I've done is gotten in the habit of just checking this a couple times a day, and I know if somebody's done that, then I can go check it out and see if it's acceptable, or if I have issues with it. Right next to the post, there should be an X on the right that you can then delete it if you're not happy with it. The other thing you can do, if there's somebody connected with your page that is a problem, you can also click on New Likes under here. If you click on See All, it'll let you see everybody who's liked your page, and next to them there should be an X, and you can actually delete them from being connected with your page. So there are options if somebody is being a nuisance to the page, you can actually delete them from being connected to your page. The other thing to check as well is messages. So people can privately message you, and you'll see these messages pop up to the right. So it's good just to keep checking that as well, and that might be a way people may have questions about your program or may want to share something. So that's a good way to be connected with people as well. Another good thing to do for monitoring is to make sure you always have more than one administrator. So if you go back to the Edit Page and Manage Permissions off to this control panel, you'll see admin roles, and you can actually type the name in of somebody else affiliated with your organization. Why that's good, if somebody leaves your organization, it's good to have more than one manager who can access the page rather than them taking the page with them. Also, it's helpful, you can set up a routine of both of you checking and having guidelines, and so it doesn't always fall on one person, and that person can also do the posting as well as that organization. So it just kind of diffuses the responsibility a bit, so it's not too much of a time issue on that. So that's the basics of monitoring, but I think it's a more positive approach, I think, is that Facebook does allow you to interact with your fans. So whereas a website would just give in-depth information about what you do and what you have going on with your activities, it really gives you the tools to have more connections with your fans. So you'll see here, here's recent posts from other people who have posted on our timeline, and so these are people who have shared things with us. Debbie ended up commenting on an article that we posted, and what we've done is gotten in the habit of responding to posts that are positive and are in line with what we're trying to promote. So I ended up responding, agreed, thank you for sharing your thoughts on how we can use this in our work. And so it just, again, encourages that relationship building that you want with the people who are connecting with your organization. Another way to help grow your Facebook page is with your status updates, to think about how you can, again, have a voice, but also how you can get your fans involved in commenting and interacting. So it's sometimes good to do status updates that might ask a question or ask people to share a story on a certain topic, like share your best parenting moment, and that gets people to engage with your organization and respond. And if they're commenting on your site, it's showing up in their activity feed, and others will see that they're affiliated with your organization. You can also comment on others' posts, so people who other organizations you're connected with, you can comment on their posts on articles that you like, which is a good way to engage with them as well. The other thing to keep in mind with building your page, it helps with consistent posting. So you really want to make sure you're posting 3 to 4 times a week, and every time you post, it shows up in your friend's newsfeed. So we've gotten much more in the habit of consistently posting, and I'm finding people coming up to me at events saying, hey, I saw updates, and it's good to see your organization come up in our timeline. So it really does get noticed over a period of time, even if fans are not liking your page. It's good to always think of engaging in diverse content, so don't get in the habit of only posting news articles or only posting information about your training. It's really helpful to think about a variety of content. Different things will appeal to different people, and people may be looking for different kinds of resources and information. Interacting with your fans is great, so if they comment, again, commenting on their posts. If they comment and you don't really have a comment to respond with, you can like their comment that they have. So showing that you're engaged in reading what they're posting as well is good. And the public awareness. So when you go out to your trainings, when you go out to public events, on your brochures, it's really good to mention that you have a Facebook page. The thing, one of the reasons for the slow growth of the Facebook page is that people, your fans, have to come to your page and like it. You can't go out and force anybody to like your page. So it's really helpful to do that public awareness that you do have a page and that this is a great way for them to stay up to date on your activities and what you have going on. So you need to do some of that public awareness work if you want to grow your page. So return on investment, I think it's important to note that your growth is not going to be quick, especially initially. It's much slower. We get about 7 to 10 likes a month, and that's new people coming to our site and liking the page, so it is very slow growth. It's picking up a little more now that we're over 500 fans. So again, the more fans you start to build, the faster that growth will start to happen. There's also limited engagement. So 2 to 3 likes per post, maybe 1 share or 1 comment, unless we've had really good reactions to the quotes we've been posting and the images we've been posting. But so occasionally you hit that right post and it really takes off. But at the same time, you are having a consistent presence in the news feed. So those who are liking your page are consistently seeing it. They may not be interacting, but they're seeing your name out there. They're seeing that you're adding a resource. They're seeing that you have value. And so while you may not see their direct response to that post, it is getting out there. And it's giving you greater awareness for your work. So over time, it really is a good, consistent presence and gives you a way of building a stronger base of people who are connected with your organization. And so that leads to my almost final slide, and that is Facebook has insights. At the top on your admin panel, you'll start to see this little bar graph that'll show you your weekly reach and how many people you're reaching and how many people are talking about your page. And if you click on that, it leads you to a whole bunch of insights. And so we've had a lot of success, like I said, in a couple of quotes we posted on our wall with those images. And so you'll see a huge jump in our interaction all of a sudden from a couple of those posts. And so just from those posts, we had a weekly reach of 6,500 people. More average, we're usually more at like 350 people, sometimes up to 1,000 people we're interacting with. So it does kind of dip and dive a bit depending on the types of posts you're doing. But it is a consistent connection with fans. We're always reaching a good base every week. And you can kind of watch those numbers and make sure if you start to see the total likes go down, so the people who are liking your page, you may wonder about the types of posts that you're doing. That may mean you're posting too much or people aren't engaging in those posts. You want to see a steady increase in the total likes. For the people talking about this, so that'll be people who either like, comment, or share a post that you use. So that should stay kind of consistent. For the weekly total reach, like I said, that's usually more of a dip and dive. So that's the number of people who see your post in their news feed or their friends see your post in their news feed. So if they're sharing your post, their other friends may see it. And so that, it just depends on the type of post and what people really respond to. But you can kind of track these numbers. If it goes down 1 week or for a couple weeks, you know, Right after Labor Day, we were down a little bit, and that's nothing to be discouraged about. If you just keep consistent in posting, you'll see these steadily rise over time. I think that covers just about everything. I know that's a whole lot of information about Facebook. We have about 5 minutes if there's any questions that anybody wants to ask about it, and I'll do my best to answer it. But for more guidance, here's a link that'll take you to Facebook, Facebook's own help pages, and they have a lot of good topics that you can kind of peruse through, and that'll help you as well. Or you can email me, and I'm happy to work with you individually, especially as you go back and try to absorb all the information I covered today. So if you have comments, questions, please type them in, and I'll be on the line for another 5 minutes, and we'll answer those. But thanks so much for tuning in, and I'm excited to see you all get started on your Facebook pages and to really be able to use them most effectively. So thanks a lot for joining in. And if you want, I don't see a lot of questions now. I see people logging off. Feel free to play around with our page as well. I'm happy to show you some things on our page if you explore that as well. That may give you some examples. Somebody's asking when and where will the audio and slideshow be available? That's a good question. I will post that under the grantee section. I'll send an email on that out. I'll hopefully have that in the next couple of days. So I'll send that out through an email and let you know where that goes. So thanks for that question. If there's any other questions, please feel free to type in. All right, well, it looks like there's not questions, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off on the webinar. Feel free to email me or call. I'll be around this afternoon as well if you'd like. So thanks for joining in. Bye.